Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Thank you for tuning in for this edition of Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali. I am Attorney Zulu Ali with the Justice Watch crew. Rosa Nunez, Michael Bilal Clark, Dr. Kil Bashir, Andrew Rodeman, and Ryan Rhodes. This week, like every week, we'll be discussing critical legal and social justice issues that are impacting our community. This week, we'll be discussing the debates between, you like that, Joe? Between President Biden and former President Donald Trump. So, I mean, I'm just going to get right into it, man. I mean, just for those, I'm sure there's nobody that doesn't know this, but obviously that on June the 27th, there was a debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. It'll be in the same room for the first time since what they debated back in October of 2020. There was no audience. Didn't they have a mute button as well?
Yeah, a mute button as well.
Right. It was the earliest debate in history. Generally, it's done later in the year than what we had this particular time. I don't know, man. Y'all gotta tell me something. I'm gonna let y'all talk, man.
Oh, you gonna throw it this way, huh?
Yeah, y'all talk to me, man. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna get that one to Ryan.
Right, so what's up, Ryan? What do you think about that?
It's sad, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it was sad to me, just coming to the realization. Like, of course, like, we've known who the candidates were gonna be for some time now, but just seeing them on that stage and realizing that these are our options, like, these are the people that we have. One of these two are going to be the ones that's going to run the country, like, in the next 4 years. It's just, like, very concerning. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, you have one who's a habitual liar, and then the other one is, not to be harsh, but I don't even know if he can make it through his next term, if he were to get reelected. Like, the way he's answering questions and moving on stage is very concerning. So I left the whole, debate just sort of disappointed, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I can echo that same sentiment because, just looking at it, over the course of years, just watching countless debates between presidents, I think this will go down in history as one of the saddest debates I've seen, with who we have to choose from. But like Ryan said, it's hard. It's hard to sit there and say, hey, I want to vote for this person. I want to vote for that person. I think we're now stuck in a position on whether or not we even want to vote. Yeah. And I think that's the way that society is probably the American, I would say a large percentage of individuals now in the United States are looking at who they have to choose from, and now they're in a position to say, you know what, I might not want to vote at all because neither is a good option.
Yeah. Well, I guess I want to start with, I'm trying to figure out which one I want to start with. I guess I want to start with Biden first. I mean, obviously the issue with Biden, and I think I heard someone put it best, is that Biden basically had more substance, but it was really his delivery.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he looked like, he said some really good things, but he looked like he was forgetting things. He looked like he was, even when he was speaking, sometimes he was mumbling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He almost looked like, not to be, almost like he had a medical condition, like maybe he had a stroke or something, honestly. Yeah. Right? And so, he was just mumbling. I don't know if it was his dentures. I don't know what it was. He wasn't even opening his mouth.
Yeah.
But that killed the message because of his delivery, right?
Yeah.
Then you had Trump, who had no substance, but clearly more vibrant.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't even answering the question.
No, he wasn't.
He just had conviction about what he was saying.
Yeah.
So his delivery was clearly much better, but he really wasn't saying anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So now you're dealing with, when you look at it that way, then then the question is, are we going to kill him because of his delivery? Because clearly he had more substance, right? Yeah. And nobody really, when you ask a person, you're like, well, what is it about Biden that you didn't like? And clearly, as you said, it's the fact that his delivery, the way he said things.
Exactly.
And then sometimes when he was talking, he would pause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or sometimes he almost like spaced out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But ultimately, when he was able to get it out, then it wasn't like he wasn't making any sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My favorite moment from Biden is when he called him a whiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got mad when he said that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that was my favorite moment with Biden. Now with Trump, I mean, obviously, he is, the con man that he is.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
He basically, tried to, sell salt to a slug, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's his whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And so then that's really what it came out. I mean, that's really, I think, in the final analysis, that's really what happened. But I think the question is, when we talk about, well, why wouldn't we vote for Biden? It's clearly only because we think that his elderly status, like, is he alert enough?
Yeah.
That's really the question, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody is really. But, is it really fair? I mean, in other words, if it's all about his delivery, is it really a legitimate
But I think
concern?
I think it's a concern, and it's a very good concern.
Yeah.
That he won't make it?
That he won't make it.
I mean, really, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you hear talk now about replacing him with someone much younger. And that's the talk right now, is about seeing whether or not the Democrats want to replace him with someone much younger because of his, just the way he presented himself during the debate. But also, I think that there's a very, very, very large segment of people do believe that it's because of the way he responded and whether or not he's going to be capable. But I think a lot of people also look at the last 4 years as well about just the things he did overall in the country, with the wars and with COVID and everything like that. But, on onset, right now at this present moment, I think people are very concerned about his condition, about whether or not he's going to be able to, handle that seat again.
Is that the really concern?
I mean, it's. I can speak for myself and like people, a lot of my friends. Like, that's our concern. Honestly, like, when we have the conversations about him, like, I think it's amplified in this specific moment because of him being on these stages, and we see, in all honesty, there should be so much more separation between Biden and Trump, in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And the reason that it's close is because, as we spoke to a little earlier, presentation is everything. Mm-hmm. Like, you can be saying great things, but if you don't deliver it in the right way, you give leverage for the person over here who might not have as much substance, who is saying it more confidently, to like get some more leverage on you. So, like you said, Trump was literally lying the entire debate, but he's so confident that the people who, are in the middle or were already like huge fans of him, they're like, okay, you know what? I believe what he's saying. He's confident. I don't have to worry about what I'm getting with him. With Biden, it's just like he's literally losing his train of thought in the debate.
Right.
Like, trying to get a thought out, trying to get a point out, losing track, start mumbling, falling over his words, and doesn't even get to finish his point because he's running over his time.
But that's what Trump plays on, though. Trump plays on that. If I can aggravate him, I'm gonna make him trip up over his words.
It's smart.
And it's very smart. Because now he's flustered, And when he's flustered, Biden will, his words, he trip over the words, he mumble, you don't understand everything he's saying because he's flustered. He's not focused.
Facts.
The question is, can we stand 4 years with Trump? See, this is all right. Look, I'm going to be devil's advocate. I'm gonna throw a conspiracy theory in there.
All right.
The question is, okay, so he's got 34 felonies.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got other cases that are pending against him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, let's just say best case scenario, he gets formal probation, then what he's going to have to call his probation officer to leave the state.
That's crazy.
He's going to have to call his probation officer to leave the country. Are they going to travel with him?
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? See, the thing about it is, if I was Biden, I would have brought some handcuffs to the debate and dangled them and says, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is really the question, and I want to say devil's advocate, but I don't think really that would be appropriate. But the question is, could we even have him as a president? I mean, it would be so unsafe because our country would be in so much chaos. He's got all these cases. He's got these felonies. I mean, it would just be an S show.
Yeah.
For him to be the president, and not to mention that globally.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is what I think. Well, this is what somebody I know thinks, right? Somebody that I know thinks that they will not allow him to be the president of the United States. I think that, there are people in this country, there are elements in this country, we call them Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he'll make it to the poll if they think that him becoming the president would jeopardize us that much. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but the thing is that if him being the president of the United States would jeopardize us as much as it would, they won't let him become the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And
Even if they had to make sure he didn't make it.
And you're talking about Trump, right?
Yeah.
So I would have to respond to that. Do you think that the people like Big Brother, the people who are making those decisions, align more with Biden's moral compass or Trump's?
I think that even if they aligned with Trump, they know that the country could not deal with that. In other words,
It's interesting.
I mean, the thing about it is that you have to understand what America looks like with Donald Trump as the president globally.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
It will definitely look chaotic, right? But I think after January 6th, and looking at how many people that pulls behind him, and how many people that believes in his antics,
Yeah.
trying to look at it from both ways, right? There's going to be a large because he has a lot of followers.
I think, you know what I think? I think that it don't matter.
You know?
I think that there are elements in this country that will say that if he will put us in harm's way, I mean, there's not only financial economic capital, there's also this thing called moral capital.
Yeah.
Moral capital is extremely important on an international scale.
Yeah.
And America has been known globally to possess the most moral capital. If he becomes the president of the United States, we will have zero moral capital around the world.
Yeah.
They cannot allow that to happen. In other words, it's like it's one of those things where it can't happen.
Yeah.
It did the first time, because I'm going to tell you something. When he became the president of the United States the first time, I really didn't believe what he said. I thought he was just playing. I really did. I had no idea that it would be that way.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree with you. I did think he was playing too.
Yeah.
I thought it was really like a troll, like he was trolling, just sort of saying these things like to get the support and then feed his own like actual interest.
Yeah.
I did believe that.
I think we all believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point, second time around, I mean,
We know.
We know. We know.
Exactly. You know.
And you know, knowing the way, I'm telling you that if I don't care if he gets more, if he can get more votes or not, there are elements in this country that will make sure that doesn't happen, no matter what happens. And I'm just saying that there, you know, I think that we're playing a dangerous game, but we don't understand the game that we're playing. So in other words, you know what I mean? So in other words, I think there's elements out there that's going to say that really see it for what it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, on this level, we live in a social media, you know, type of, you know, we're playing a little bit, but I think it's more serious than we think it is.
Yeah.
And knowing how serious it is, I really don't believe that they're not going to allow that to happen. And that brings me to my second point. My second point is, you know, they don't just do things just to do it. That somebody already knew that Joe Biden, or President Biden, had some issues with his delivery. They did not have to do the debate.
No, they didn't.
They put that out there for a reason, right? I don't know what the reason is, you know, because I'm not a political strategist, but, you know, and they did it early. Did they do it early because they knew that they could not tell him he couldn't run, so that it would be public pressure that would make somebody else run? Or is there something else to it? I don't know. But I do not believe just all willy-nilly, knowing that he has all these people around him and all these political strategists and all these people that are concerned that around him every day and know his situation, decided. I just don't believe that they're that short-sighted. He was put out there for a reason. You know what I mean?
They might be though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I never want to assume that, you know, they, of course, we know, you know, the whole situation, because maybe they put him out there because they thought, okay, now, you know, we have people who are doubting that he can actually get on this stage. You know, he's going to prove them wrong. And he got on the stage and actually proved them right. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to really say. I can't really say. I mean, because he has been this person in power for the last 4 years, and he's done good. And, of course, you can see him getting older. You can see him, you know, starting to regress. But, I mean, that would be a nasty game, though, if the intention was to get somebody else to run, especially at this point, close, close, a few months ago.
And that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking the same way. I'm thinking that somebody else is going to replace him. And I'm seriously thinking that somebody else is going to replace him. I know they just did a poll and they hollered out the name Gavin Newsom, right? And then they ran a poll on whether or not he can run against Trump. And the polls favor Trump. So at some point, like you say, I think the powers to be will eventually find either a way to replace Biden or get Trump out the running altogether.
They gotta act fast, though.
Correct.
Like,
well,
I'm just saying, like, next month fast. Like, we're closing
like real
in.
fast.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't believe Trump's gonna win. I don't believe. Joe says if these elements, Big Brother just have to use his crimes to remove him, so be it. But I'm just telling you, man, that, you know, I think that the president is a figurehead. I think the power is always behind the throne.
Yeah.
I think that basically, no matter, again, you know, some things are bigger than you. And I think that he is, you know, he's really not fit, man.
Yeah.
He really isn't, man. I mean, there's just the reality of it is that we couldn't do it. We couldn't make it that way. Do you know what this country would be like with a guy like that and all of the drama that he brings. I mean, we couldn't survive because it would just be too much.
Zulu, I'm gonna tell you, nothing surprised me no more though. Nothing in this country surprises me no more, man. Because look, we sat here when the January 6th thing happened. We sat here, and one of the things I said back then, I said, globally, the world will not look at us ever the same again. That if you can see the citizens run into the state capitol and do this, right? That there are outside influences that's looking and saying that you're vulnerable. If your citizens can do it. And what do we have? We had a balloon come over here from China. We had all this stuff come over here. Before, we never experienced such things because people know that America wasn't going to tolerate the shenanigans.
Well, you know what? I don't mean to cut you off, but the one thing that's if people think that globally they do not want Trump to be the president of the United States, they're wrong. Globally, they want Trump to win. Our enemies want him to win. That I'm telling you, that would be the best thing that could really ever happen because it's almost going to be like he is going to start almost a coup. I mean, and when I use that word, I'm not using it literally, but figuratively, where we're going to have constant fighting within the country.
He's the worst kind of leader because he runs off of emotion. Right. Like if you offend him, like he's gonna get back at you. Like he's a revenge. I'm gonna embarrass you on a public stage type of guy.
Well, he pretty much said that in a debate. Basically, if he becomes, he's gonna reverse some things. You know.
I mean, the thing about it, man, is I mean, I don't, my thing is this, is that sometimes you got to stay in your lane. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are things that he obviously was good at, like The Apprentice. That was a good show, right?
It was not a bad show.
Great. I mean, he's good for television. He's good for reality television. He did a good job. As far as, and that's his lane. Mm-hmm. But we cannot have reality television in the Oval Office because I don't think, the thing is that we are spoiled. And we do not know how bad it could get. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it is that basically, we're the most vulnerable position that we've ever been in. And we're vulnerable because we have gone so long without there being any there's not really been any serious concern since the Cold War. Right? About America really falling. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Now there is.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to sort of a point that I made last week about, you're saying like we're not as serious as we need to be or like we used to be. And I really feel like specifically in the case of Donald Trump, we have allowed politics and entertainment to cross, right? Mm-hmm. We use politics as an entertainment factor instead of what it should be. It's really just politics. Mm-hmm. I remember when he was running, like one of the points, I read that article and they were like, I don't care who it is. If you put somebody on your TV long enough, somebody that like, we're going to watch it and be like, this guy's lying. Mm-hmm. Somebody else is going to watch it and be like, well, let me listen to what he's actually saying this time. Yeah. And then you're going to get followers. And people were laughing at him. He was on CNN, they were on these shows, and they were like, oh, this guy's running. He's not going to win. If you put anybody on TV long enough, they will gain a following. And he used that following to his advantage, and he became the president, right? Through all the antics, through all the jokes, through all the, crazy things that he was saying, he used entertainment and being this, like, figurehead and just polarizing person to his advantage because, once again, we love chaos. We love a show. We love entertainment.
And I think a lot of people didn't pay attention to debate when it came down to him answering some of those questions.
For sure.
He didn't answer some of them questions. He ran away from the questions, especially when they talked about immigrations and whether or not he's going to deport people, right? And on what scale would he do it and how he would go about it. He ran from that like real fast,
Quick.
Now, and the only reason he ran from that because he know that it's people that's over here that has family members that's over here, and they don't want to chance that putting them in often and then they get deported. So he will lose followers. So the great majority of the questions I've seen him run away from, and like it goes back to what you said, he was better with his delivery in terms of his speech, but when it came down to really answering the questions and whether or not his questions or his answers had substance was, there was always that bickering part of it, like just pointing the finger, And even when they got to the point and they started talking about their physical fitness, I'm like, come on, this is like kid
golfing,
stuff, They're like this golfing stuff. I can carry a golf bag. Come on, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of like the situation with Trump, and I think that I'm being very objective. I mean, because you obviously I am. I mean, the no matter you got to vote. You can't. The whole idea that I'm not going to vote is not a good situation. I mean, if someone says, I'm going to stay home, I'm just not going to vote because I don't like either candidate. I don't really think that that's appropriate option. And now that politics has really got to a point where it's like, it is a kid's game now. You know what I mean? They're like children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, the Bloods, Crip, Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples. Like everybody's picking a side, and it's not like they're really looking at the issues or the bigger picture. You know what I mean? And I just think that basically, regardless of what, if you're going to try to put the country first and you really say you really supposedly love the country or you really concerned about the country, then you have to ask yourself this question: what's going to happen when he becomes the president of the United States? It's just going to be more. All it's going to be is just divisiveness. Yeah. He's an extremely polarizing and divisive individual. And he's not, to some degree, some could say he's using people, but people are using him. You know what I mean? Yeah. He came at a great time. I mean, on the tail end of Barack Obama when they just hated, it's kind of like Obama effect.
For sure.
Yeah. That they just, because it reflects a whole lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy is how the so-called moral right, religious right support him so much. Baffles me, but I understand that it's politics. It's like you buy your politicians. That's kind of how it works. So in other words, they're not buying the individual necessarily who he is, but they're buying what they can get from him.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody's for sale,
for sure,
and that's and it's exposing, more than ever. The fact that like everyone, like America around the world, people didn't like America because they felt like that we thought we were better than everybody else, and we did think we were everybody else, not just because we could beat you up, because we felt like that we always took the moral high ground.
Yeah,
right. And so now people can look back and say, "See, I told you America's not nothing." You see what I mean? See, I told you that America's not perfect. I told you that America's just as bad and ruthless as everybody else. You see what I mean? And it really, and I don't think that people understand how bad it makes us look on a global scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think that when I look at it, and I looked at the candidates and I see who we have to choose from, and my question is, every year you want to see something progress and become better. And so I look at whether or not Biden could make this country better with what he's done in the last 4 years, whether or not he can change his colors and make it better, and whether or not Donald Trump can do it. And when I look at it, when I look at both sides of it, I don't see progress going to be made on either side. That's just me personally. I just can't see it. I'm along with the generation that's now. I'm older, but I'm along with this new generation that's coming along as far as like they remind me of the generation, like we was talking in the car, they remind me of the generations back in the 70s and 60s and 70s during the war times and stuff like that. And they got out and they protested and they made their voice heard, And I think that when you look at that, you look at this new generation, they push some power. I mean, when it comes down to voting, a lot of them is going to carry this vote. A lot of them going to get out and they looking at what's going on. And I'm just telling you from what I see right now, from me, I just don't. I mean, if Biden keeps his same colors, I don't see it being good. Donald Trump has always been on a page that wasn't good anyway. So I just don't see any progress is going to be made either way. And that's not to say that I'm not going to vote, but it makes it hard. And I guarantee you, there's a great majority of the individuals just sitting out there. And I can, like I said at the onset, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to sit back and say, you know what, I'm not voting at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're in a situation that, people have been preaching to people my age for years at this point, which is it's all about the greater good. We're at the point where it's like, do you want chaos or do you want things to start to just be stagnant and stay the same? And like the stagnancy is better than chaos. So they're like, okay, well, of course you're going to go with Biden. And, I'm going to be very honest and upfront about my voting situation. I would vote for Biden, like very clearly for me. But, 31-year-old, college graduate, student loans, I would love, some progress. I would love like some very progressive, like very, groundbreaking thoughts to start like being introduced. Like I would love younger voices. I would love younger opinions to be in, this position of power. Like I really want them to start to like think about lowering like the age for presidency. Like to me personally, or at least just like entertaining the idea of having more young people around, because I feel like if you're trying to build a future for these people, they need to be a part of the conversations within it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I just think Biden has to, he gets back in office. He has to, the powers to be has to seriously guide his hand. Even if he's a figurehead and he's just put out there, right? Even with his speech and just the way he presents himself. Because people have a tendency to look at the way you present yourself. And if you don't present yourself well, then they kind of tend to back away from you. So I think, them putting him out there, maybe it was a plan to put him out there. But they need another mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't know if they're going to end up trying to figure out, find somebody else that's going to run instead of him to go against Donald Trump. But I just don't see them allowing that to happen. I just think that the consequences, I don't think that people are being really honest. Or not, I don't want to use the word honest, but I don't think they're really, when they think about the consequences, I think we all are delusional. I think that we're very delusional, and I think that we're delusional because we're just way too, again, just spoiled as a country. And not realizing, hey, how is this really going to, to really shake out? And what is the danger of, and again, I mean, could I believe, I'm not, could Biden done a whole lot more?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that people are on this mad dash of trying to say that we're just giving away our votes and we're not really getting nothing in return, and all that rhetoric, like the situation with like Ice Cube had. Yeah. Everybody was mad at him because he's saying he wanted to sit down and talk to Biden and say this is our plan. And he said wait till I get elected or whatever. I get it, and I think those are valid concerns when it comes to trying to just basically giving away our political capital, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think that it's much different because I still don't think that people have really digested or truly understand even in light of what happened with COVID, we really didn't learn our lesson, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I think that happened, and nobody ever thought that anything like that would ever happen. And I think that what it taught me is that we don't control everything.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely correct.
And so, I mean, I'm of the belief that basically, if you bring someone, I mean, then that's another thing is that didn't anybody get the whole idea that I'm just confused, man. I mean, did anybody hear his answers? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know what was going on, man. I'm doing my hands like him right now because I know he was doing a whole bunch of this. And then, like he was asked a question and he never really answered the question because basically what he's saying is that I'm selling something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so good that I can sell this. And it's to him, it's like competition. Yeah. It's an ego.
Yeah.
And I think that he suffers from a high degree of narcissism.
Oh, most
and
definitely.
that basically it's about it's the winning. And if it comes to what's in your best interest and what's in the country's best interest, he's going to pick what's in his best interest.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes those things don't align. And you have to have somebody that has some degree of patriotism. You know what I mean? And the question is, and that goes for our whole country. I think that we got this whole patriotism thing. I think that we don't understand really how that works. I got another word for it, but I can't use the word on the radio. But I think we really got this whole idea of patriotism really messed up. You know what I mean? Because patriotism is basically what's going to be the best for the country.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're looking at when you use the word emotional. That's what he is. Not only is he emotional, his followers are emotional.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
His presidency was an emotional reaction to Barack Obama.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. Him running for president was an emotional reaction to Barack Obama, right? And so the question is, when you go to the poll, is what is going to be best for the country in general? Is it Donald Trump or is it Joe Biden, right? And from my perspective, I think it's probably even considering all of really what happened and him being elderly, I just feel like it's Joe Biden, honestly. Now, would I like to see? There's a whole bunch of things that I think should happen in this country.
Yeah.
And the things that I want to happen in the country, I don't believe that really the president of the United States is going to be the person that's going to change those things. You know what I mean? I mean, in other words, if we truly understand how politics really works, there's other things that we tend to be so. I mean, they don't even teach civics in school anymore. Because I don't even. I mean, do they still have the song? It's only a bill.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, do
I ain't
people
learned
really?
that one.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't even know. Because I mean, all we got is executive orders now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's an issue. I don't know, man. I don't know. You might have to go get your boy.
Who am I gonna get? Who am I gonna get? Oh no, man. It's like I said like earlier, it's just it's very discouraging, man. I think that for the first time in, my tenure of being able to vote, like I really am just not very confident about anything. I'm not really excited to go vote, not excited about the whole election phase. Like I'm really not like focused on any of it right now. Like I'm very spaced out, I'm like Joe Biden in the debate. Like I'm very much just not focused on what's going on. And it's I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm lost for words.
I think for the people that's kind of like undecided, I think what you have to look at is even if you don't agree with Biden and you don't agree with Trump, you have to look at it like this: whether or not, if you don't feel Biden, then you got to worry about whether or not is the country going to go to hell slowly. But if you don't like Trump, you got to realize that, do you want this country to go to hell real fast? And that's the pace of it. That's the pace of it, because like you say, they run on emotions, and when you run on emotion, you don't think about nothing. You just act. You act and you think about it later. Whereas on one side of it, at least he's able to carry this conversation, have substance to it, and go about it. With all these years of politics under his belt, him going about it, smoothly, or whether or not you want to go about it with emotion and chaos, because his followers is going to come along and they always going to have that, oh, it's a conspiracy, this happened, so.
And it's a sign of the times too, because I think that, as a younger kid looking at, you only had 2, 4, and 5, and then you would have a debate, obviously audience. And it was really, and you usually had 2 stoic men who were talking generally not very entertaining about very non-entertaining issues. Yeah. And people would make a decision based upon, because substance meant something.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask the average person, what were the issues that they were debating about that gave them concerns, most people wouldn't even know. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it's an entertainment factor. What is it that Joe Biden said or that Trump said about the issues? Like, for example, it makes actually, come on, man. I mean, like you talking about, man, this would have never happened. I would have got on the phone and talked to my boy, and then this would have never happened. He would have never done that. And then you're not answering the questions. I mean, it was so, we are sound bites. You know what I mean? We don't even, you know what I mean? So we want instant gratification. And nobody's looking at the issue. What did he say about immigration?
Yeah.
Which was a key issue about the discussion, right? What did he say about, hey, would you accept the fact if you lost, would you accept that? Why would you have to ask somebody a question like that?
Correct.
Yeah. That's just where we are.
Yeah.
And, like nobody gracefully bows out like when we seen, even when it was really... between Bush and what's my boy?
Gore,
yeah.
Gracefully bow out even when you think that probably he could have maybe even won.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that we're at a point in time where it's a reflection of a country that is slowly losing its values, and it's losing its values on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in other words, the whole thing about, taxes, the whole thing about health care, the whole thing about Social Security, the whole thing about student loans, the whole thing about education, the whole thing about your right to choose. I mean, we really never heard any of that, to be honest, because it was just a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and that's sad. Because now we are in the social media, Instagram, Facebook time period where, we basically make these, entertainment decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clips and sound bites.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of just talking about, hey, what was really the issues? What really concerns you? And when you talk, it's sad because we've talked we're no different than any other show talking about the issues, but what has anybody ever really said of substance? Everything, nobody really has had a discussion about his decision, the issues.
Yeah.
The issues that concerns this country. Even when we talk about the whole issue about the defense, our military.
Yeah.
And then like if I'm a president of the United States and I'm talking about my issues with a general, I'm not going how there was a time where you would probably be ridiculed for saying something negative about a person serving their country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would say, man, I cannot believe you would say that about somebody who who chose to go and serve their country. But he literally can condemn soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen, and people will still roll with him.
Yeah.
So when we talk about values, then on one side of the spectrum, they're saying that the values of the so-called left are left of center is going down, but their values is going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I mean, and so and that's an issue when you can stand up there, even when it started about the issue of who was it that said about what he said about John McCain.
Yeah.
When he said John McCain, he says, "My heroes don't get captured."
Yeah, I remember that.
When he said that and you rolled with him, this man went to Vietnam, got captured, was tortured, and you could ridicule a man like that and you could still roll with him. There's no way you can call yourself patriotic.
Yeah.
That to me, that right there, that should have enraged you. It should have just cut him off.
Yeah.
There was a time if you said that would just that's it.
Tanked your whole presidency.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I cannot even believe that because he, when they was going through, I guess that was the Republican primary when they were debating, and you really said that about John McCain.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that I did not like about John McCain, obviously, when it came to his politics. But there's absolutely no way in the world that I would ever condemn his service to his country.
Yeah.
But come on, man, are you serious?
Yeah.
That right there, if you want to know something about him, that tells a whole story.
Yeah.
That tells me everything I need to know about him. And it tells me everything I need to know about those who blindly follow him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to run up in the Capitol and injure police officers working at the Capitol. You're going to go in and hem up politicians and, storm the Capitol. I mean, really?
Yeah.
I still don't think we really address how crazy that really was.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That was one of the wildest days in the history of
of
our
the-
country. That was insane.
Yeah.
Like, cause what was the goal? Like you just said, like you gonna hem up these professional people while they're working, with what goal in mind? That was.
And when he was asked the question, he said it was the policeman that opened up the gate.
Right.
You know what's discouraging to me though? I think this is what's very discouraging to me, and you hit on it just a little while ago, where people gracefully bow out, and now we in this day and age, you can see two people that's supposed to be professionals, that's supposed to lead a country, and just the whole way that they pointed to each other and said, "You're a liar! You're a liar!" Man, my mother, taught
You're a
me,
whiner.
early on that you don't call nobody no liar. You don't do this. But I think they should have handled themselves a little bit more professional than they did, because what they say to the younger generation that's coming up, that's seeing them sit up here and bicker like this, back and forth, and these are the people that we're entrusting to lead us. I think that speaks volumes when it comes to just character. On both sides. So just to sit up there and say you a liar, nope, you did this, you're a liar. It was really petty to me.
Yeah, I think it also just played into Trump's game. So you spoke to a little earlier, if I'm bringing you down to my level, we're at my level, and I'm better here. I'm gonna win here.
Yeah.
You're gonna your followers are gonna look at you crazy for coming to talk to me like that. My followers are gonna be like, yeah. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
So he's winning when he brings them down there. When he gets them flustered, like you spoke to earlier, he's gonna win that game every time, and it's gonna help Trump. So Biden has to stay composed no matter what.
Yeah.
So the question is, his followers either agree with his policies while somehow ignoring the dumb things he says, or are just idiots blindly following his hype.
I'm gonna go with the idiots.
I'll go with the idiots.
Yeah. Go with the idiots. For sure.
I would definitely go with the idiots.
At this point, you have to be idiots.
Yeah.
The first time around, it was I knew people who voted based on just traditional Republican values. But this time around, after his presidency, after he's running again, if you're choosing to just ignore everything that's going on and surrounding him and his family and the way he goes about things and his, these countless lawsuits and everything like that, then you're just I mean, you're like, I mean, I can't. I'm not gonna say the word that I would go through, but you just are not a very smart individual, like at all.
But I'm gonna definitely have some questions if he get in office about all these felonies. You know, if you can make these adjustments for him, you know, I'm definitely gonna question that.
I really don't think he. I mean, you know, people. I had one of my friends, man. We went back and forth about back and forth. I just don't think that he can.
Yeah.
I just don't see how he can. You know what I mean? I mean, so I'm just saying that again. It goes back to the issue of the consequences. It's not like he's just going to get in office and, you know, we're just going to scoot our way through another 4 years. We just got lucky, and maybe COVID saved us. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened, but the reality of it is I just cannot imagine. Oh yeah, he says, can he pardon himself? That's a good question.
That's a great question, actually.
That's a really good question. I mean, I don't think
crazy.
because it's never because it's a situation of
So
first
does.
impression.
Because he would do it.
He would.
Definitely do it.
But this is the problem. He can only pardon himself from federal crimes. He cannot pardon himself from state crimes. So he would still be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would have to get the governor of New York to do that.
That's not happening.
And that's not happening. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's the issue with it. But
I don't know, man. This is a tough one.
huh?
This is a tough one.
That's a
man.
great point you made earlier, though. Like when you spoke to like if he were to get elected, like what it would say. Like if he's got all these, different like lawsuits and issues and like federal, indictments and stuff like that. Like if you're a president and you're that, if I'm, a felon or somebody watching you, what like you have to start like why can't I get like things bent for me in a certain way? Like why
Yeah.
can't I get certain aspects of my life altered and get things scratched from my record? If you can sit on the highest
Correct.
throne in the country, like what's that say to other felons, other people who've gone like through these same issues in the country? Like what do you like?
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
definitely gonna be an
That's
issue.
sad.
But I think that if the powers to be was going to not allow him to become president, they have to do it by way of court, so he won't be able to run. He's not fit to run. Some type of way of that, because I think that if he's allowed to run, right, and all of these people come out and put this support, you hyping people, and we know if these people are functioning on pure emotions, then I would say that we will see some type of turmoil inside the United States, some type of civil unrest.
I would say, man, that when I talk about not allowing him to run, I'm not even talking about that way. I'm talking about like literally not allowing him to run,
Yeah,
or making sure that it doesn't go a certain way.
Correct.
If it's that significant and I think it's there. I really do, man. I mean, some people. I'm telling you, man. You know, if there's a reason, yeah, they come to get it. Yeah. If they feel like that he's going to be a danger to this country, there's ways to keep him from running.
got it.
A lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I mean, I just think that, that's crazy, man. Yeah. But people were really disappointed when, especially the Democrats were really disappointed in what transpired, and they showed they did disappointment, about the way that the way he delivered and the fact that, and it was all about the delivery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Trying to because how old is he? He's 81, and Trump is 78.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of things. Yeah.
I don't know, man. If Biden get back in office, do you see him lasting 4 more years?
I mean, I think he can.
Kamala gonna take that place.
Well, she might. She
Who
might.
knows?
I mean,
Who
who knows, man? I mean, he might get in there and,
Who knows?
you know what I mean? Medicine's a hell of a thing. Wow. It's already that time?
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, we appreciate you guys listening, man. We got a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
But at any rate, thank you guys for tuning in for this edition of Justice Watch. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place, same channel. And until that time, stay blessed.
Express 106.5 FM.
The #1 FM talk radio station in the Inland Empire.